If you watch Fairy Tale Theatre's Hansel and Gretel for one reason only, make it Dame Joan Collins' powerhouse performance as the stepmother and the witch.
I'm about to teach you something very useful. How to turn a child's heart into gingerbread.
I'd rather learn to read.
I'd rather learn to read.
I'm Liz, and this is Flashback Faerie Tale Theatre, where I'm recapping and reviewing each episode from Shelley Duvall's iconic series.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. Welcome to Fairy Tale Theatre.
Hansel and Gretel aired on December 5th, 1983. It starred Ricky Schroeder as Hansel, Bridget Anderson as Gretel, Joan Collins doubling as the witch and the stepmother, and Paul Dooley as father. The episode was written by Patricia Resnick and directed by James Frawley. The design of this episode was inspired by the illustrations of Arthur Rackham. The story sticks very close to the Brothers Grimm. A man and his domineering second wife decide to abandon their children in the woods when they can no longer afford to feed them. The older boy, Hansel, overhears the plot and manages to save them on the first attempt, using stones to leave a path for home. But when they are abandoned a second time, Hansel's use of breadcrumbs goes awry when birds eat up those crumbs. Eventually, the children stumble upon a house made of gingerbread and help themselves to some of the cookie architecture. The owner of the house is a wicked witch, and she imprisons Hansel with the intention of fattening him up for her dinner. In this version, the witch has an elaborate method of turning a boy into a gingerbread cookie first. She puts Gretel to work as her housemaid. The kids manage to trick the witch into her own oven, and in killing her, they break the spell over the witch's yard full of gingerbread boys and girls, transforming the cookie kids back into real children. The kids make their way home, where they find their stepmother has died under mysterious circumstances. Their father embraces them, and we all pretend he wasn't just as complicit in the neglect of his own children. This is one of my favorite episodes of the series. The script is very well written, expanding the plot in thoughtful ways and keeping the dialogue snappy.
Thank the Lord for this. That's a fine joke, husband.
Others are suffering as we are. God is wise in his ways. We must trust in him.
Pish posh. Nobody will look after us but us. Hansel, your hands are disgusting. Go and wash them immediately.
Yes, Mother.
And don't call me Mother. I'm not your mother, and that is something to thank the Lord for.
The mood is properly scary, accentuated by a wonderful score.
So, she eats little children. She says she's going to fatten you up, and then she says she's going to eat you. She wouldn't dare.
And every cast member delivers a fantastic performance.
Hansel, what are you stopping for? At this rate, we'll be the whole day getting into the forest.
Well, I was just looking at my little white pigeon. He's sitting there on the roof. He wants to say goodbye to me.
Boy, you have the mind of a cabbage. That is not your pigeon. It is simply the sun shining on the chimney. And even if it were, it's only a bird, and birds don't care about goodbyes. Or hellos, for that matter.
I love how faithful the story is to the original text. Some episodes of fairy tale theater struggle to organically stretch the fairy tales to meet their 50-minute runtime, but Patricia Resnick found ways to make the existing fairy tale richer. The role of the stepmother is expanded, allowing Joan Collins to shine, especially in the scene when she's convincing her husband to leave the kids in the woods.
I don't mean that we should leave them in the forest to, God forbid, die.
Well, I know, but you said take them in the...
What I meant was that we should leave them there for somebody else to find. Someone better off than we are. After all, nearly everyone is better off than we are.
The invention of turning the children to gingerbread not only softens the idea of roasting children alive for the witch's dinner, but it provides a fun side plot of the witch training Gretel in the art of witchcraft.
I've got a surprise for you.
You've changed your mind?
No. I lit the fire myself. I just couldn't wait. Come on. Get up. I've got this terrible hunger that just must be fulfilled.
This episode is much more serious than other ones, and you could argue that it gets pretty maudlin at times. It really leans into the Christian themes of this fairy tale. This isn't my favorite choice, mostly because classic witch portrayals, such as the one associated with Hansel and Gretel, have anti-Semitic roots, so highlighting the theme of good Christians versus the witch is a little hairy.
Stop all this praying nonsense, or I shall surely lose both my mind and my temper.
I don't care if you do lose your temper. You're a horrible old underwater.
Speaking of that witch, though, her makeup and costumes are incredible. The design is very good for this episode. The Arthur Rackham look is very present. This was a season finale for the show and aired during the holiday season, and you can tell they pulled out all the stops. Both children deliver excellent performances. Ricky Schroeder was a well-known child actor by this time, but even his co-star, new to the screen, holds her own.
Well, I shouldn't eat a thing. I won't get fat, and then she won't eat. But you must at least think you are eating or she'll make you. Then you eat it. And I'll get fat and she'll eat me. Put it in the back of the cage beneath the straw. When she's busy, I'll take it in the woods for the wild beast. That will do. She doesn't see very well anyway. But she has the nose of a wolf.
They're very sweet and escape the cloying nature of kid acting that you see a lot from this era. But the star of the show is Joan Collins. In double casting her as the stepmother and the witch, the director is definitely leaning into a popular theory that the characters are one and the same, but Collins makes each role distinct beyond the heavy makeup, and you would never guess it was the same actress if you didn't know. I have to wonder if this episode was written with her in mind. Both the stepmother and the witch get to diva out in a big way.
Yes! Sleep, you great oaf! While I go and take an axe and put an end to myself.
Quiet, you wake the children.
What's the difference? They'll have to wake up anyway for my funeral.
Please let me have some peace.
Yes, you'll have peace soon enough. When we're all under the cold ground. Oh, God! Why have you caused me to be tied to a spineless excuse for a man who's bound and determined to see me in my grave? What have I done? That I must end my days in the prime of my life, withering away to skin and bone, the ache in my belly growing stronger and stronger, until I'm dead.
All right. We'll do as you say.
Stick out that finger! No! That will not do at all! I want fat! Rolls of fat! Flesh and more flesh! Soft, undulating, quivering, jiggling mountains of young boy flesh! I grow weak with happiness at the very thought of it.
I am very uncomfortable right now. 1,000 points for the commitment, though. We get a classic thirsty moment for the grown-ups in this when the stepmother points out that with the kids gone, the parents can finally have big noisy sex again.
Shh. You wake them.
Tomorrow, we can start to make noise again.
All right. Let it be done.
Seems like it was an effective argument. How about some fun facts? Collins received the Cable Ace Award for her work in this episode. I neglected to tell you that Terry Garr also received that award for her work in The Frog Prince. That score I mentioned used parts of Engelbert Humperdinck's opera of the same fairy tale. That is also where they picked up the idea that the kids were turned into gingerbread and they get transformed back at the end. Life was not very kind to our child stars of this episode. Bridget Anderson lost her life much too young to drugs. And Schroeder grew up to bail out Kyle Rittenhouse, so I think that confirms our darkest timeline status. Next up, I'm not sure. I know I'm going to skip reviewing The Three Bears because my old videos of that are still up. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, I'll upload them here. You can catch up with any of my fairy tale theater reviews in my playlist. I'll see you next time.